Welcome to Communication 24/7, a podcast where we communicate about how we communicate. I'm your host, Jennifer Furlong. Whenever people find out I'm a communication teacher, someone will usually end up confessing that they need to take a class. Then they'll talk about how they want to get their spouse to understand them better, or to get their boss to understand them better, or to get their kids to understand them better, or maybe even their parents. Being a good communicator to them is all about getting their point across. Basically, they want the world to understand them and their needs and their wants and their feelings. That in itself is understandable. I cannot fault them for that because after all, humans are egocentric creatures. We are the star of our own show, and it's easy to forget that we're not the star in everybody else's show. So today, I want to talk about the single most important communication skill you need to start working on right now. This skill is more important than learning about improving your speaking skills or how to talk so that, quote, they will listen. It's more important than whether your storytelling skills or your articulation skills are sufficient. The skill I'm talking about, if you haven't guessed already, is listening. Think about it this way. You can have fantastic speaking skills, but at some point, those with whom you have important relationships, you know the ones, your friends, your family, your coworkers, they're going to want you to shut up at some point and listen, as you should. After all, communication is about creating shared meaning. And how can you create shared meaning if you focus more on the talking than the listening? Which is kind of funny anyway, considering that we spend more of our waking hours listening to others than any other communication activity. That's how often we do it. So it would behoove us to make sure that we're doing this listening thing correctly. So what happens if we ignore this important part of communication? Well, for example, let's say you're at work and you miss out on an important announcement about some training. And then a few months later, you wonder why you got looked over for the promotion. Maybe it's because you didn't pay attention to the announcement on the training that was needed to qualify for the promotion. Good listeners are more likely to be hired and promoted. Or what about this next example? Perhaps your friend has been talking to you for some time about something that's been bothering them a lot. Maybe it's about their work, or maybe it's about a relationship. And then one day, you know they're not talking to you anymore. They're talking to somebody else. And then you wonder why you got replaced by that somebody else. Well, it's not because your friend is a jerk. Maybe it's because you weren't really paying attention and listening, and you suck at empathic listening. Good listeners are more likely to be viewed as good friends. Or let's say it's time to vote for your next mayor. And instead of listening to all the candidates during the debate, you chose to focus on other things like their appearance or whether their political leaning matches your own. Fast forward a few months later, you've already cast your vote. But now that the elections are over, you don't understand why the new mayor that you voted for is creating crappy policies that are actually not helping your city. Well, maybe if you had paid attention to the debates, you would know that they did talk about their policies, but you failed to critically assess them objectively at the time to be able to see that they were in fact crappy policies. Good listeners are less easily fooled. These are real examples, folks. Not listening effectively has a profound impact on every aspect of your life. So what are we to do? First, understand the human animal is a naturally terrible listener. Even when we try to listen, we are only getting about half of what's coming at us. Half, 50%, 50. Again, that's when we're trying to pay attention. So think about how bad it is when we're not actually paying attention. And we're not paying attention. That much is clear. Let's be honest here. So if listening is a skill, like any other skill, there must be a way to develop it, right? To practice at it so that we can become better at it. Well, listen up. I'm going to give you some quick tips to become a better listener. But before that, let's listen to this quick message. So you love listening to podcasts, huh? Have you thought about starting your own? If so, today is a great day to do just that. Look, when I decided to start my podcast, I had absolutely no idea what in the heck I was doing. I had so many questions. Do I need a lot of equipment? Will it be expensive? How do I even begin? Then I heard about Buzzsprout through some other podcasters and decided to check it out. And to my delight, I found I did not have to buy any gear. I didn't need any special equipment or any special knowledge. I could work with what I already had and just needed to find a quiet space to record. I'm still working on that last one. I found that podcasting isn't really that hard when you have the right partners. Buzzsprout is hands down the easiest and best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. And the team at Buzzsprout wants to help you succeed. They get your show listed in every major podcast platform. You get a great looking podcast website, audio players that you could drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening, tools to promote your episode, and much, much more. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. If you follow the link in the show notes, Buzzsprout will know that I sent you, and that will get you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan. Not to mention, it helps support my show. You have a story to tell, a message to share? Join Buzzsprout today. And back to the show. First, understand the value of listening and understand that you need to value listening. It's not just something that you can do passively and expect positive outcomes. If you don't think it's important and you're not going to focus on it, you're not going to try, your listening skills will not improve. Second, be mindful of your listening habits. Pay attention to how you respond in different situations. Do you find yourself zoning out when sitting in class, or do you become defensive when asked to explain your decisions at work? Or do you find yourself checking your social media or your text messages when your spouse is talking to you about their day while you're having dinner? Sometimes becoming a better listener requires you to be able to identify the bad habits so that you can change those bad habits. Third, answer this question honestly. How often are you actually in the moment? I mean, truly, without distractions, focusing on the person talking to you in the moment. You need to be in the moment or your listening skills will not improve. Perhaps you need to get rid of some of the distractions. You can turn off the television or put away the tech devices. Face the other person directly, make eye contact, or maybe you have some internal distractions, like perhaps you're worried about something, or maybe you're thinking about your to-do list for tomorrow and that's giving you all kinds of anxiety. You need to be able to recognize those things as distractions, because once you recognize them, you can make a choice to focus on the moment. But what if you truly cannot control the distractions? Maybe you're at a loud restaurant, or maybe you're just worried about some medical tests that you had done earlier. And you know these distractions are getting in the way of you being able to listen effectively. So what do you do then? That's what the next step is all about. This is when you need to stop for a moment and assess the situation. You know you're taking the listening seriously. You're being mindful of your bad habits and you're actively trying to change them. You're in the moment. You want to pay attention to the message, but it's just not working. The distractions are winning. Take a step back and breathe. If it's not working right now, that's okay. It could be that this is not the time. Look, we can't listen to everything at every moment of every day. Our brains are not built to handle it. That's why we have to select what we want to pay attention to. But it could be that you're tired. Maybe you've reached information overload. Maybe the distractions are just too much. Decide in that moment whether this particular situation is worth tabling for another day, and simply ask the other person if that's okay. But be sure to let them know that it's important to you, that you want to hear them out, that you want to listen to them, and then set up a time where you can commit to hearing them out. This approach will go a long way rather than pretending to listen, which never ends well. So now you know how to set things up so that you are ready to listen. Have you noticed I have not said anything yet about how to listen? Yeah, you heard me correctly. How to listen. How to go about actually listening. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, how to be an active listener, right? But what in the heck does that even mean? Additionally, have you heard that there are different listening styles? And these different styles can be used in different situations? Well, that's what the next few episodes are all about. So if you want to know the keys to being an active listener and how to determine which listening style to use depending on the situation you're in, you'll have to tune in next time. Till then, take care.